Alright, ladies and gentlemen, lady, I have brought you here today to give a speech and to ask one simple question. It's very simple, and you don't have to give me an answer. In fact, I would rather you didn't give me an answer. The question is this: should teenagers be allowed to buy violent video games? Now, I know a lot of parents, there's one parent in the room who may, I don't know their opinion, would say, no, they shouldn't. And it's a very understandable opinion. Many parents would say, well, we don't want our children influenced by these violent video games, or maybe they just say, we don't want our kids seeing these things. Well, yes, that's completely understandable, and many parents would feel the same way. And then there are other parents who would say, I don't give a crap, I'll go buy my kids whatever they want. And they go and they buy games and they give their kids what they want, or puppies, ponies, whatever, under the sun. Well, there actually is a very firm answer, and the correct answer is yes and no. And it's a little difficult to explain. It's proven scientifically that violent video games do actually have an influence on younger children, believed to be about the age of 12 and under. It seems that children who play these games have higher aggression levels, and they seem to be more likely to do aggressive things. And this is believed that, thanks to the National Health Association, they use studies around children. They let them play violent video games for a few hours, and then they go and have them do everyday things. Now, it's believed that the reason that they're more violent is because they interpret different contact as being more aggressive towards them. So in response, they tend to be aggressive towards that source of contact, whatever it happens to be. For example, a kid bumps into them in the hall, and they might see that as like, oh, they're trying to get me, or they're doing something. And so they turn around and they do something aggressive back. Now, children who don't play these games under the age of 12 or so are fairly normal. They don't have any aggressive behaviors unless there's some other cause or whatever. Maybe they're just aggressive kids, I don't know. However, because of this whole system, they put in the ESRB. Actually, this was introduced at the same time Mortal Kombat was introduced. They were actually the people who company that basically started the ESRB. Now, the ESRB stands for Entertainment System Rating Bureau. And the way it works is it has different ways of rating games. You have E, which is for everyone, and they'll usually have an age like 7 or older, or 12 and older. That's basically, those are the games most parents give their kids at a young age. I mean, those are things like Pokemon or Tony Hawk or something like that, you know. Nothing violent. Then there's T, which is teenager. You know, everyone knows T for teen. We've all played the games, or seen them at some point. They're similar. They'll have 13 or 14 and up, etc. Then there's M for mature. Now this is where the real violent games start coming in, such as Call of Duty or Halo or Mortal Kombat or games of that nature that more gory and bloody. Now these will usually say 16 or 17 years and older. These are treated similarly to the ways cigarettes and alcohol are treated. When you go to buy the game, they actually will ask you for identification. This helps prevent younger kids from getting a handle on them because they don't want them to influence these kids. And as we all know, many parents don't. However, it is not illegal to buy them for someone else, which leads to younger kids playing these games. They just have their parents go and buy them for them because the parents just don't care or whatever. And then, after this whole big mess, that's how you get the aggressive kids. Anyways, after M for mature, you get to R. Now, R-rated games are fairly rare. You don't see very many of them. These are exceptionally violent games that show exceptional gore and exceptional damage. I don't actually have any off the top of my head that are R-rated games. I do believe one of the Rainbow Six games was rated R. And usually these are 18 or older, 18, 19, sometimes even 21. And then after you get from the R-rated games, you get to the rarest kind of game there is. It's unrated games. Now these could be anything from like children's games that they just don't know where to put them, whether they're between everyone and teen or whatever. Or you get to games that are beyond R-rated games to just nastiness and terror. Just gross. These ones are kind of the ones you want to look out for. If you get your kids these, or your kids get these, there isn't actually a way to stop them. They don't have them rated, so they can't really say, well, you can't buy this. You can't say that. It's not like you can have a 13-year-old say, oh, I want this unrated game, and say, all right, you can't buy that, you're not old enough. When it comes to unrated games, they can be something absolutely terrible, or something brand new off the market that just hasn't been rated yet. And they'll say, oh yeah, no, that's a problem. So that's how you get some kids who come out with Call of Duty. The new Call of Duty, in fact, the most recent one came out and it wasn't quite rated yet, so there was quite a few kids who went and bought Call of Duty against what their parents said, and blah blah blah. Another thing to watch out for is new game releases. So now we get back to the question. None of that really answered the question of should they or should they not. Well, the answer when I said yes and no actually comes down to being fairly simple. No, meaning anyone below the age limit should not be able to buy the games, should not be able to play them, or be allowed, according to National Health Association's Bureau of Health and other different little government organizations that do health things. They've figured out that this adversely affects children's brains. It's not the greatest thing in the world for them. Then, if you get past that, to your age that's acceptable, then yes, it's fine, it's not a problem. It's 16 to 17-year-olds seem to have no to little effect upon their brains at all, really. Maybe they'll be a little more aggressive than usual if they're on steroids or something, but I don't see every 16 or 17-year-old on steroids. Anyway, I hope this solves any problems or questions or persuasions, or maybe sways people to one side or the other. Thank you for your time. That'll be all.